If your grown offspring today once again interrupted you mid-sentence, brushed you aside, and looked right through you as if you were empty space, do not send them a message. Do not seek them out. Do not attempt to explain yourself. Sit and listen to an old mentor for 10 minutes. After this, you will understand why 40 years of your parental devotion yielded not a single grain of reverence, and what to do about it this very evening. I am but a humble elder. 90 years I have walked this earth. 30 of those I dwelt in a silent sanctuary near the highest mountain province. Today I speak not of distant peaks. Today I speak of the ancient sage and of you. First, the bitter truth. Without it, there is no sense in walking further. Your descendants do not lack respect for you because they are wicked. They are not wicked. They are ordinary. They behave exactly as you have conditioned them to behave with you. Do you hear me? Not how you taught them to navigate the world in general, how to cleanse themselves, how to bow in greeting, how to count their coins, but specifically how to act toward you. This you taught them silently, for 40 years in silence. Every time you swallowed a grievance, every time you answered harshness with a smile, every time you yielded to avoid a storm. The ancient sage 2,500 years ago spoke a brief truth, stating that whoever does not honor himself, his son will not honor him either. That is all. That is sufficient. I could stop explaining here, but I will elaborate, for simple truths must be softened for the modern, weary mind. I will share a tale not from ancient scrolls, but from my own path. I had a companion in the sanctuary, a traveler from the northern steppes, a silk merchant. He was older than me by 15 years. One day his son came to him, a grown man nearing 40, bringing gifts to his father, bowing low, sitting to drink tea. And then the conversation began, first with courtesy, then growing ever sharper. An hour later he was lecturing his father on how to exist, how to think, what to believe. My friend sat in silence. I observed him from the shadow of the room and saw how with every passing moment he became smaller. Not in flesh, for his posture remained straight, but inwardly, as if he were shrinking to occupy less space in his own dwelling before his own flesh and blood. When the son departed, I approached my brother and asked why he remained silent, for he was the wisest soul in these mountains, and why he allowed the boy to speak to him in such a manner. He looked at me and said that for 30 years he had accustomed the boy to the idea that a father is one who endures everything, and he could not retrain him in a single evening, as it would be unfair to the child. I did not grasp it then. I was still green, being only 50 years of age. I considered it a peculiar reasoning. Yet 20 years later, when my own descendants began speaking to me in such a tone, I recalled that merchant from the steppes and understood. Each of us is that silent father. Every guardian shapes their child toward a specific treatment and then marvels at receiving exactly what they cultivated. Now, here are the 7 paths you must walk if you desire something to shift, not within your young ones, but within yourself. Carve this into your memory immediately. Not a single one of these 7 steps requires your son or daughter to do anything at all. All 7 are about you, and solely about you. This is the method of the ancient sage. Do not alter the other. Alter yourself so that the other is forced to realign. Rule 1. Cease seeking validation from your grown son, from your daughter, from the husband of your daughter, the wife of your son, or your grandchildren. Cease it. I know how this moves from the inside. You speak a word and instantly search their eyes, awaiting a reaction. Did they agree? Did they approve? Did they take offense? If you see a clouded brow, you instantly retreat, soften your words, and begin to justify yourself. Every time you do this, you remove a crown from your own head. Over 40 years, you have stripped away every crown you possessed. You stand bare and wonder why you are not treated as a sovereign. The ancient sage noted that the noble spirit demands from himself, the lowly spirit demands from others. Translate this into the language of a guardian. A noble guide asks himself if he is just, and if he is just, he stands his ground, no matter what is spoken. A lowly guide asks the youth if he is right, and shifts his stance based on the expression of the child's face. Enough. If you have spoken your truth today, stand firmly upon it. If they dislike it, let them dislike it. That is no reason to retreat. Rule 2. Embrace silence. The vast majority of elders lose their dignity through the mouth, through endless explanations, through desperate attempts to reach closed ears, to shout over the wind, to prove their worth. You list everything you have sacrificed for the child, how many nights you surrendered your slumber, how many times you denied your own desires, how many coins you poured into their path, and with every spoken word you diminish, because a soul that tallies its merits is no longer a revered elder, but a beggar. A beggar never inspires reverence, only pity or irritation. The ancient sage proclaimed that he who has something of value to say is in no rush to speak. Burn this into your mind. If your presence requires justification, you possess no presence at all. Keep your peace and walk your path, so that your existence speaks on your behalf. Rule 3. Sever the emotional tether. This is the most profound sorrow. This is what nearly all elders transform into after 60 years of age. You sit by the hearth, awaiting a message. When it does not come, your spirit is darkened for the entire day. When they do send word, a brief conversation of 3 minutes, and you feel alive once more. This is not devotion to a child. This is an attachment. It is the exact same attachment as a thirst for strong spirits or games of chance. It merely hides beneath the poetic guise of a mother's heart or a father's profound feeling. I will speak to you firmly, as is my right in my 90 years. Your journey is your journey. Your son or daughter's journey is theirs. These two paths intersect, but they are not the same road. If you have made another soul the very center of your existence, you have betrayed yourself, and you have betrayed them, because you burdened them with the crushing weight of being the meaning of another's life. The ancient sage said not to grieve that you are unknown, but to grieve that you do not know others. I shall rephrase this for your ears. Grieve not that they forget you. Grieve that you have forgotten yourself. Rule 4. Establish boundaries and do not yield. A boundary is not a stone wall. It is not the severing of a bond. It is a brief, quiet word of denial, spoken once, and then reinforced by action. Your heir speaks to you with disdain once again. Answer once with absolute calm. You do not speak to me in this manner. When you are capable of speaking differently, you may reach out. And that is the end of it. Do not explain. Do not attempt to educate. Do not reach out first after a week has passed, simply because your tender heart could not endure the silence. It will endure. If it does not endure now, it will suffer this indignity until the end of your days. The ancient sage observed that he who shows leniency to the unworthy steals from him the opportunity to become better. Do you hear these words? When you forgive your son his insolence for the 100th time, you are not showing kindness. You are stealing his chance to become a decent human being. You leave him unripe, uncultivated, and incapable of harmonious relations with the world. You are an accomplice in his descent. Memorize this and repeat it. Setting a boundary is not banishing your offspring. It is returning to them the dignified guardian they had in their youth and whom they have not seen for a very long time. Rule 5. Cease giving without measure. This speaks deeply of worldly wealth, but extends far beyond it. A great many elders today act as bottomless coffers for their grown descendants. The son is 35 years of age, the daughter is 40, yet they still return for your coins, for your labor in raising the little ones, for the resolving of burdens they are meant to carry themselves. And you give, silently, without conditions, simply because they are your own blood. But they cease being your little ones the very moment they bring their own progeny into the world. After that dawn, they are fully formed adults, and your duty to them is fulfilled. The ancient sage noted that giving to a wise man, you gain wisdom. Giving to a foolish man, you breed greed. Every single time you place into the palm of a grown adult that which they should have earned through their own sweat, you make them weaker. You cherish them and weaken them in the same breath. This is not true affection. This is a slow shadow over the soul, disguised as sweet honey. To aid, yes. To rescue, no. Do you perceive the distinction? Aiding is when their path is steep and they ask for a hand. Rescuing is when they have not moved a single muscle, yet you are already sprinting to their side. Cease your running. Rule 6. Construct a life in which they are not the center. This is the most crucial wisdom I shall impart today. If your entire existence is merely the anticipation of a message, a visit, or the grandchildren arriving for the season, you do not have a life. You have a waiting hall. And those who dwell in waiting halls never command respect. They draw sympathy at best and annoyance at worst. Go and learn. At 60, at 70, at 80 years, study a new tongue, master a craft, learn an instrument, or anything else. Gather companions of your own generation. Walk into the high hills, plant a garden, write your memories, engage in deeds that make you fall into your bed at night thoroughly exhausted, not from waiting, but from living, and witness what unfolds. Your descendants will begin to visit on their own accord, without any prompting, because a soul that lives with fascination always draws others in, while a soul that sits and waits always repels. This is a law of nature. It holds true at 70 years just as it does at 20. People are drawn to the fire of a person with burning eyes. Your eyes must burn brightly at 90, at 100, up to your final breath. This is your sacred obligation to your own spirit. Rule 7. And finally, forgive, but do not surrender. Forgiveness is your own internal liberation. When you cease carrying bitterness in your heart, for bitterness devours the one who harbors it, not the one at whom it is aimed. But granting pardon does not mean turning your cheek to be struck anew. You can absolve a wrong, but you cannot return everything to how it once was. If a person has behaved unworthily toward you, and you have forgiven them, it means you have untethered your own soul. Yet it does not imply the bond must return to its previous shape. It must transform, because if nothing has altered, it means nothing was truly comprehended. The ancient sage advised to repay injury with justice and kindness with kindness, not malice for injury, but justice, which means reacting calmly, firmly, without vengeance and without overwhelming sentiment. Measure out to this person exactly as much closeness as their actions have earned, no more and no less. This is ripened devotion, affection without blindness, a love that sees clearly and still cares, yet sees with absolute sobriety. The old mentor has spoken. 7 paths. The rest is your endeavor. Do not attempt to walk them all at once. Take one, any single one, the one that resonated most powerfully within your chest, and live by it for a week, just a single week, without explaining yourself to the young ones, without grand declarations, without loud pronouncements, but in complete silence. And after that week, you will notice a shift in the wind, not within them, but within you. You will walk differently. Your spine will be straighter, your breath deeper, your slumber more profound. And then, perhaps after a month, perhaps after half a year, they too will change. Not because you have retaught them, but because they behold a different spirit before them, and it is impossible to act in the old ways with someone who has transformed. Keep the grandest truth in mind. Reverence cannot be begged for. Reverence cannot be demanded. Reverence cannot be retrieved through endless scolding. Reverence can only be earned anew. At 60, at 70, at 80 years of age, to earn it anew from those you once carried in your arms. It is a bitter taste, but it is the truth. And there are joyful tidings. You possess everything required for this journey: the lived years, the missteps made, the gathered wisdom, and most importantly, time. Whatever time remains to you is perfectly suited to begin. Begin today, not tomorrow, not upon the coming week. This very evening, when you extinguish this moving portrait, do one single thing differently. Just one. That is enough for the first stride. Bestow upon them the greatest inheritance you can offer, far greater than any gold. Let them one day gaze upon you and see a spirit before whom it is shameful to act poorly. I have spoken my piece. Now, if this wisdom has brought light to your path, I softly ask you to leave a gentle like so that these teachings may reach other weary travelers. And join our silent sanctuary by subscribing. May deep peace and harmony reign in your home forever.